keep you on schedule to finish when we need you to finish. So let's talk about the seminar paper a little bit. So the seminar paper, what I want you to do is I want you to think about a question. I want you to think about something that you would like to research, something that would be meaningful to you as a professional, something that would be meaningful to perhaps your school as a whole or your team that you teach with. So I sent in an announcement a couple of example questions, and so I know some have emailed me for some tweaking of that, and that's fine. They've sent me ideas. So if you haven't done that, I would highly recommend that you get your idea formulated as quickly as you can, because the quicker you get your question posted and your question solidified, the sooner you can start doing your research. So your seminar paper, just as a brief overview, is comprised of an introduction, a substantiation section, which is the meat of the paper, your conclusion, and then an abstract. And on pages 4 and 5 of your syllabus, it goes into detail as to what goes into to each of those pieces. So you have your introduction set. It has two main parts. The first part is written in first person, and it's going to tell us why this research is of interest to you. Why did you want to do this? What relevance does this have to you? The second part is going to be why the topic is of importance to the field of literacy. What does it have to do with, why are you doing this? Why is it important to our field? In here, you're also going to discuss the theoretical and practical significance of the topic to the reading professional. You can use references here, but not primary research articles, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Talk about, ILA standards, ILA position papers, and secondary resources. Secondary research are all good choices. At the very end of the introduction, you should see your research question. And when I finalize the Blackboard site, you're going to see examples of how this all gets pulled together into a paper, but that's what the introduction is going to look like. Now, let's talk about, before we talk about the substantiation, let's talk about primary research versus secondary. So your primary research articles are going to look like a study. It's going to have a hypothesis. It's going to talk about the participants in the study. It's going to talk about in the conclusion what the results were. It's very formal, very formal study type sounding of an article. Secondary research is just something that would come off of the internet from a credible source, of course, but maybe something from the International Literacy Association, perhaps a journal of reading, something like that. So it's important to determine the difference between the two, because you're going to need a combination of each. You're going to need both for your research paper. And I'm going to show you a graphic. I actually probably should put it up on Blackboard and show you how I would think about dividing up your resources, because you do need 15 resources for this paper. So I have a special little graphic that I always show people, and it really is like a big aha moment when it comes to how am I going to divide up these 15 resources. Well, I'm going to show you a graphic that can help with that. But that being said, you're going to need 15 resources. You're going to have a combination of primary and secondary resources. Secondary resources, by the way, not only can be articles, they can be book chapters, they can be something like that, something of a secondary nature. Okay, so then on to your substantiation. We don't call it a substantiation in your paper. You're going to use the subheadings that are pertinent to your content. So the substantiation just tells us that this is the meat of the article. This is where you're going to have the body of your paper. It's going to review the research that you have read. You are going to talk about any terms that need to be spoken about in this section. You're going to give us before you go into all of your research, you're going to give us a roadmap. You're going to lay it all out for the reader. You're going to put it out. You're going to say, okay, here are my three main ideas that I'm going to hit to support this research question. So that's what, when you see roadmap, that's what that means. This is what's ahead. Then what you're going to do is you're going to organize all of your research. You're going to have all these, you have 15 articles in front of you. You're going to divide those articles into your three main ideas. You're going to, so I would say, for main idea number one, support, you're going to shoot for 5 pieces of support for that one main idea. Out of those 5, I would have 2 or 3 of those I would have as primary research articles. The rest can be secondary. Combination of 2 or 3, doesn't matter which. And keep in mind, we're flexible with this because you realize that when you're organizing a paper, you're probably going to have your most important point first, and then you're going to go down from there. So maybe that third main idea might have a few more secondary pieces of research than primary. So again, we're flexible, and not everyone's going to have the same makeup of research. So that all being said, so you organize your research studies according to, let's say, generally 3 main ideas, and that's how you're going to go about, that's going to be the basis for the body of your paper. And you're going to summarize the articles, but don't give us a full-blown summary of each article, because let's think about it. If you have 15 research articles and you summarize all of them, your paper is going to be extremely long, extremely long. So you want to make sure that you succinctly summarize, and it says that in the syllabus. But more important is the synthesis across research studies. So let's just say main idea number 1, you've got 5 solid articles. 3 of those are research articles. 2 of those are secondary resources, just articles that you found that help support. And so you're not going to summarize article 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to talk about those big research studies, of course, but most important is the synthesis across all 5 to help support that one main idea. At the end of each section, you're going to provide a summary of the findings across the research studies. So, and at the beginning of each section, a brief introductory paragraph. So you're really going to put this paper together piece by piece by piece. First is going to be the introduction. Then when you start with your substantiation, you're going to go piece by piece by piece. I would suggest writing a section at a time, focusing on a main idea, getting your introductory paragraph together for that main idea, talking about all of your research here in the middle, and then like a summary paragraph at the end. Your paper, this part of your paper should be 12 to 16 pages. That's the meat of your paper right there. Then when you're finished with that, you are going to do a conclusion section. The conclusion should be about 2 pages. In this section, you're going to restate your research question using the summaries that you have made at the end of each subsection of the substantiation, and provide answers for your investigation. Provide answers. As you are able, include commentary on the amount and quality of the research that you have found, and on the kind of research you still believe needs to be done. Many, if not most questions, there are more questions than certain answers a lot of times. So talk about the limitations of the research that you found. You're not going to find perfect research. You're going to find holes here and there, things that aren't consistent. And this is where, in the conclusion section, you're going to mention that. What further research do you think needs to be done on your topic? So really kind of just pulls it all together. And again, you'll see the wording of all of this as I post the examples. Then finally, what I want you to do last is create an abstract. And that's going to be about 100 to 150 words, and it's going to contain key terms at the bottom. That's a super important piece. I see a lot of people sometimes leave that out. but point out those keywords for your reader so that so that they can see it, kind of like for children, pointing out that important vocabulary. But again, you're going to do that last once your paper is complete. So overall, your research paper is going to be about 20 pages long, not including references, the cover page, and the abstract. You should follow APA publication, and I will also put resources for the APA format just so you can have a refresher if you feel like you need it. I'll have resources posted for that. Try to keep it at 20 pages, but I'm flexible, so I want you to write a quality paper, but I would say absolutely no more than, say, 23. I'll give you a 3-page leeway, 2 to 3-page leeway, but definitely no less, because I just don't think that you could ever write this paper in less than 20 pages when you put it all together. You're not going to hand it in to me. I'm sorry, allergies are killing me here, people. You are going to not be handing this in a folder, as it's stated. You're going to be turning it in on Blackboard, and I'll be doing all my grading online. So, but you will want to print out a copy of your research paper for your portfolio. So, and that is, according to our schedule, your portfolio, let's see, your research paper is going to be due, should be all done by July 2nd, or somewhere around July 2nd. I don't state specifically. I do have by July 10th that your portfolio reflective essay is due. I do have that. That is pretty well a solid due date for the portfolio reflective essay, just because I need time to grade these and get them done and back to you by the gala on the 13th. I would say that a due date for your seminar paper would probably be a reasonable expectation, would be somewhere around July the 5th. That would give me time to get them done, although as you submit piece by piece, which you will, you're going to submit your introduction, you're going to submit your substantiation, submit your conclusion, all at different times. I'll be grading your seminar paper little by little by little. So it won't be like I'm grading everyone's all at one time. But your reflective essay, I kind of will be. So, because that's going to be due on the 10th, and you just simply need time to get that research paper done. Okay, so I'm going to cut the tape for now, and I'm going to explain in another video, I'm going to explain the portfolio reflective essay, because it's just too long and detailed, and I want to be able to upload this without any difficulty. So that explains the overall syllabus and the overall seminar paper. Of course, if you have any, like I said, if you have any questions, let me know about that. And I'm going to start recording the video for the portfolio reflective essay.